Have you ever, really tried to make a big change in your life? Maybe eating healthier, exercising more, maybe trying to cut down on stress, or just being more present with your family, perhaps. You start off with these amazing intentions, right? You're like buzzing with motivation, but then somehow it doesn't stick. And that little voice pops up, or maybe you hear it from others saying, it's your fault, you just lack willpower.
It feels like, well, a personal failing.
Right, and that's exactly the narrative that trips so many of us up. If those past attempts at change didn't work out for you, I want to say right up front, it's probably not your fault, really. It's often what Dr. B.J. Fogg, who we're diving into today, calls a design flaw. It's not a personal flaw.
Design flaw.
Yeah, think about it like this. You wouldn't blame yourself if you were trying to assemble, say, IKEA furniture with terrible instructions and half the parts missing, would you?
No, of course not. You'd blame the instructions or the missing parts.
Exactly. And our approach to habits, the advice we usually get, often has similarly flawed instructions. That idea, design flaw, that's really powerful. It takes the self-blame right out of it. And that's why we're excited to dig into B.J. Fogg's book today, Tiny Habits, the small changes that change everything. Because Fogg argues that making positive changes can actually be, well, easy and even fun if you use the right system.
And our mission today really is to unpack Fogg's system for you, give you a solid summary. It's based on how our psychology actually works, not how we wish it worked. We want to show you why tiny is mighty and why just gritting your teeth and relying on willpower, that's usually a losing strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If it's not about willpower, what is this design flaw Fogg keeps mentioning? Why do we struggle so much even when we genuinely want to be, better partners, more productive, less stressed?
Well, it often boils down to these pervasive myths in society and honestly, a lot of unscientific advice that just sets us up to fail. We're told things like go big or go home, right? Or just power through, use more willpower.
Let's push harder.
Exactly. And Fogg says, no, stop that. Stop judging yourself. Instead, break down those big dreams, those aspirations, into really tiny, doable behaviors. And crucially, see mistakes not as failures, but as discoveries. Like, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn?
Data points.
Precisely. Data points for improving your design. The whole genius of his process is that it makes change easy because it feels good. You feel successful, not bad or guilty. And it absolutely does not rely on willpower, which, let's face it, is incredibly fickle.
And that feeling good part, that really stands out. It's about making it almost effortless. Fogg really hammers this home. Starting tiny means actions that take, less than 30 seconds?
Less than 30 seconds, yeah.
That's not just a minor suggestion. It's like fundamental. It helps wire in the habit quickly, lets it grow naturally. It seems like the best way, especially if you're stressed or short on time, because it just lowers that resistance. He uses that great example of his friend's toddler, Willa, learning to walk. She falls down constantly, right? But she just gets back up. It doesn't stop her. Because the stakes are so low, there's no real emotional risk, no judgment. It's not failure, it's just a stumble. And getting rid of that emotional risk, that seems critical when you go tiny.
It really is. It shifts the focus entirely to consistency over intensity. When something's tiny, it's easy. If it's easy, you don't need a huge surge of that unreliable motivation to do it. And that consistency builds momentum, builds confidence. It creates this upward spiral, this positive feedback loop.
Okay, so if willpower and going big aren't the path, how does Fogg actually map out how behavior works? He's got this core framework, right? BMAP.
BMP. That's it. Behavior happens when three things come together at the same moment. Motivation, ability, and a prompt. B equals MAP.
Let's break that down. So M, motivation.
Motivation. That's simply your desire to do the thing, whatever the behavior is. Fogg uses the example of donating to the Red Cross via text message after the Haiti earthquake. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Vaguely.
People had incredibly high motivation, this huge desire to help. The ability. Texting was super easy. Just reply to a message. And the prompt. The text message itself was clear. So MAMP all hit at once. Boom. Millions raised.
Wow.
But, and this is the key point Fogg makes, while motivation can be intense in moments like that, it's wildly unreliable for long-term change. He calls it your party animal friend.
Okay.
Great fun for a night out, but you wouldn't count on them to pick you up from the airport at 6 a.m.
Except we're not.
That's motivation. It shows up when it feels like it, and relying on it is one of the motivation monkey's traps. We think that high motivation we feel now will somehow just stick around. And that leads us to bite off way more than we can chew.
Oh, I totally recognize that motivation wave you talked about, these temporary surges. You feel like you can conquer the world and then poof, It's gone. I mean, that juicer gathering dust in my cupboard. Prime example.
Exactly. Or those online courses we sign up for. All excited.
Yeah, then drop out after 2 weeks.
We consistently overestimate our future motivation. It's human nature, and it fluctuates constantly, not just week to week, but day to day, even minute to minute. Willpower tanks in the evening. Retailers know this stuff. Why are Santa hats cheap on December 26th? Motivation's gone. Why does Weight Watchers get surges in January? High motivation.
Yeah.
But it plummets around the holidays.
Right.
So Fogg's crucial point here. Motivation is not the winning ticket for long-term change. That's huge because culture tells us the opposite. Just get motivated. Try harder.
Yeah.
Fogg says relying on that feeling is actually setting yourself up to fail and feel bad about yourself. It's not a character flaw. It's just bad strategy.
Yeah.
You can't force outcomes just with high motivation.
Okay.
Which leads directly to his first maxim. Help people do what they already want to do. Don't try to manufacture motivation.
So motivation is volatile, unreliable.
Okay.
But if we can't rely on it, maybe we can work around it. And this seems to be where ability comes in. The A in B and V. And you said this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of Fogg's biggest insights. Ability is your capacity to do the behavior. And his key idea is simple but profound. The easier a behavior is to do, the more likely the behavior will become habit.
Make it easy.
Make it super easy. Think about Instagram when it launched. Why did it take off? Posting a photo took, what, 3 clicks? They tapped into existing motivation people like sharing photos, but they made the ability part incredibly simple.
Ah, okay. Unlike wrestling with some complicated photo software.
Exactly. It totally flips that go big or go home idea on its head. Going big often just leads to frustration. Making it easy leads to success. So if you're struggling with a habit, Fogg gives you the discovery question. What is making this behavior hard to do?
That's making it hard.
Yeah. Is it time, money, physical effort, mental effort? Does it break your routine? He calls these the ability factors. His own example. He wanted to floss daily but struggled. He asked the discovery question. The answer. The floss he was using was thick, hard to get between his teeth. Physical effort.
Okay, so you identify the friction point. Then what?
Then you ask the breakthrough question. How can I make this behavior easier to do?
Make it easier. Makes sense.
And there are basically 3 ways to answer that. 1, increase your skills. Like if you want to cook more, maybe take a basic cooking class.
Learn how.
Right. 2, get tools and resources. This was Fogg's fix for flossing. He found thinner, glidey floss, problem solved. Or Molly, who wanted to meal prep but found chopping veggies took forever. She got a mandolin slicer, a tool cut her prep time massively.
Okay, skills, tools. What's the third?
The third is the real cornerstone of tiny habits. Make the behavior tiny, radically tiny. This is where the starter step comes in. Remember Sarika wanting to cook breakfast? Her starter step wasn't cook a whole meal. It was just turn on the stovetop burner. That's it.
Just turn on the burner.
Yep. Because doing the starter step is success. You did the tiny thing. You keep the habit alive, even on busy days. It's like mental jujitsu. You trick your brain into getting started. Or scaling back. Instead of 20 push-ups, do 2 easy wall push-ups. Instead of flossing all your teeth, floss 1.
Floss 1 tooth.
Floss 1 tooth. The point is to make it so laughably small that you literally cannot say no. It takes 0 motivation.
Okay, BMAP. We've got motivation, unreliable. Ability, make it easy, make it tiny. That leaves P, the prompt. We need that nudge, that trigger, right?
Absolutely. Even if you want to do it, and it's super easy, A, if nothing prompts you at the right moment, the behavior won't happen. And Fogg says prompts are black and white. You either notice it or you don't. Getting the prompt right is critical.
So what kinds of prompts are there?
Well, he talks about a few. Context prompts are external cues, post-it notes, alarms, phone notifications, seeing something. But we get bombarded with these, right? We start tuning them out. Like Fogg putting the tempting snacks in the hotel room cabinet.
Okay.
He removed the visual context prompt.
Okay, hiding the cookies. Got it.
Then there are person prompts, someone reminding you. Can work, but can also be, annoying or unreliable.
Yeah.
But the most effective type, the core of the tiny habits method, are action prompts. Fogg also calls them anchor moments. This is where you link your new tiny habit to something you already do reliably. An existing routine becomes the prompt. You essentially hack your own behavior.
Ah, piggybacking on something you already do.
Exactly. And that leads to the super simple tiny habit recipe format. After I existing anchor habit, I will new tiny habit.
Okay, give me an example.
After I put my feet on the floor in the morning anchor, I will say, it's going to be a great day. Tiny habit. That's his Maui habit. Simple, positive start. Or after I brush my teeth anchor, I will floss 1 tooth tiny habit. Or After I hear the server offer bread at a restaurant anchor, I will say, no bread, please, tiny habit. It fits right into the flow.
I like that. It makes it automatic almost. No extra thought needed.
Right. And sometimes, finding the precise anchor matters. Fogg talks about the trailing edge, the exact moment an anchor ends. Elena wanted to wipe down her kitchen counter after breakfast. Her first anchor, after I put my dishes in the sink, was fuzzy. Didn't always work. She realized the precise trailing edge was after I turn off the water faucet. That specific sensory cue became her reliable prompt.
Interesting, that level of detail.
It can make all the difference in making it stick.
Okay, so motivation, ability, prompt. That's how a behavior happens in the moment. But what happens next after you actually do the tiny behavior? Because a lot of advice just stops there, right? Do the thing. But Fogg says what happens after is crucial.
Absolutely vital. This is where celebration comes in. It's Fogg's term for a technique that creates an immediate positive feeling right after you do the habit. He calls that feeling shine. Shine. And that positive feeling, that shine, is what actually wires the new habit into your brain fast. He's very clear. This isn't about rewards way off in the future, like, if I exercise all month, I'll get a massage. That's an incentive, and it comes too late. The positive feeling has to happen during the behavior or literally milliseconds after. Think of parents cheering like crazy the instant a baby takes a step.
That immediate feedback.
That immediate positive reinforcement. That's what rewires the brain. Incentives are too disconnected in time.
So it's not the massage, it's the feeling right now. And there's brain science behind this. Dopamine.
Exactly. It triggers dopamine release. There's this concept called reward prediction error. Our brain pays extra attention when something feels good, especially if it's a little unexpected or better than expected. That helps lock in the behavior. Fogg uses Instagram filters as an example. You apply a filter, your photo looks cooler, you feel like a mini artist, boom, dopamine hit. Makes you want to do it again.
Okay, so the feeling drives the habit.
Right. As Fogg puts it, emotions create habits. Not repetition alone, but emotion-fueled repetition. He uses this spectrum of automaticity idea. Compare deciding to take a taxi once versus automatically calling an Uber after one really great, easy, positive first experience. That positive emotion shifts it along the spectrum towards automatic habit much faster.
Makes sense.
And this leads to his Fogg maxim, #2, help people feel successful. That feeling of success, however small, is the engine of change.
And the celebration itself, it doesn't have to be like throwing a party, right?
Oh, definitely not. It just has to be something that generates that genuine positive feeling for you. It could be Fogg shouting, awesome, after his 2 push-ups. Or his Uncle Brent saying, bingo, when he nails an argument. It could be a little fist pump, a smile, say yes. Internally, it's personal. The key is that you feel that spark of success, that shine.
Okay. And what about when you're feeling really down or overwhelmed? Is there a way to use this?
Yes. He offers something called the celebration blitz. Feeling swamped. Go to the messiest spot in your house, set a timer for just 3 minutes. Tidy one tiny thing, throw away 1 piece of trash, put 1 dish in the dishwasher, fold 1 towel, and after each tiny action, you celebrate. Give yourself that hit of shine. Yes, done. He tells the story of Linda, coping with deep grief. This 3-minute blitz, celebrating tiny wins, helped pull her out of despair bit by bit. It shows how powerful even microdoses of success can be.
Wow. That's quite powerful. Okay, so this all feels very systematic. BMAP, anchors, celebration. Fogg lays it out as a behavior design process, doesn't he?
He does. It's a clear sequence.
Yeah.
First, clarify your aspiration. What do you really want? The outcome or feeling, not just a vague goal like get fit. Maybe it's have energy to play with my kids.
Right, more specific.
Then explore behavior options. He calls this magic wanding. If you had a magic wand, what specific behaviors could help you achieve that aspiration? Brainstorm everything, a whole swarm of behaviors, big and small, don't filter yet.
Like run a marathon down to drink 1 glass of water.
Exactly. Get it all out there. Then match with specific behaviors using focus mapping. This is where you find your golden behaviors. You plot your brainstorm behaviors on a chart. How much impact will this behavior have on my aspiration? And how feasible is it for me right now? Meaning, how motivated am I and how easy is it? You look for the ones that are high impact and things you actually want to do and can do easily. Those are your golden behaviors to start with.
Okay, so you find the sweet spot.
Find the sweet spot. Then you start tiny with those golden behaviors, find a good prompt and anchor, and celebrate successes immediately. It's an iterative loop.
And this applies to getting rid of bad habits too.
Yes, definitely. Fogg emphasizes it's not about breaking habits, which implies using force or willpower. It's about systematically untangling them. You use the same BMAP logic. Can you remove the prompt? for the unwanted habit? Can you make the ability harder, increase friction? Can you reduce motivation, though that's less reliable? Or can you swap it with a positive tiny habit? Junie, who wanted to kick sugar, didn't just fight cravings. She redesigned her environment, removed prompts, made sugar harder to get, and cultivated new tiny habits around exercise and healthy snacks that naturally crowded out the old behavior.
Crowding out instead of just fighting.
Exactly. And often, as these positive habits take root, something amazing happens, an identity shift. You start seeing yourself differently. Sukumar started with 2 push-ups. Over time, he added more tiny habits, lost weight, got fit. He found his craving for sweets just vanished. Not because he fought it, but because he started seeing himself as a person who exercises, a healthy person. That new identity made the old behaviors less appealing.
You become the kind of person who does these things.
Precisely. And that shift in self-perception becomes a powerful engine for more change. You start living into the identity you're building, habit by tiny habit.
Okay, this is fascinating for individual change. But you mentioned earlier, this isn't just about us as individuals. How does this apply when we're interacting with others, families, teams?
That's a great question. Fogg points out we're always influencing each other's behavior, consciously or not. When you want to intentionally help others change, he talks about 2 main roles you can play. One is the ringleader. You lead openly. You help the group clarify their aspiration, maybe facilitate a group magic wanding session to brainstorm behaviors, maybe even guide them through focus mapping together to find group golden behaviors.
Okay, the open leader.
And the other is the ninja.
The ninja. Sounds stealthy.
It is. The ninja influences more subtly, without necessarily announcing, hey, I'm using behavior design on you. They focus on making the desired behavior easier for the other person, finding good prompts, and especially celebrating the small wins.
Can you give an example of the ninja approach?
The story of Mike and his adult son, Chris, is a perfect example. Chris was really struggling, living at home, lots of friction, especially over basic chores like cleaning the coffee maker filter. Mike could have nagged or demanded, which would likely just increase tension.
Right, the usual approach.
Instead, Mike went ninja. He started tiny. He didn't ask Chris to clean the whole machine. He just asked him to take the used filter out and put it on the counter. Super easy, low barrier. And when Chris did it, even if not perfectly, Mike didn't criticize. He immediately celebrated that tiny success. Hey, Chris, thanks for putting the filter on the counter. That really helps me out.
Wow. Focusing on the positive, however small.
Exactly. It wasn't really about the coffee filter. It was about changing the dynamic, fostering a feeling of success and hope in Chris and in their relationship. Mike made it easy, ability. The dirty filter was the prompt, and he provided the celebration. Over time, Chris started doing more, gaining confidence, because he was experiencing these tiny successes instead of constant criticism. It shifted everything.
That's incredibly powerful. And it wasn't about manipulation, but about genuinely helping someone succeed.
Precisely. Or think about the nurses Fogg mentions, dealing with intense burnout. A tiny habits coach, Linda, helped them implement tiny habits, taking 1 sip of water after docking their computer, thanking the first night shift person they saw. Tiny things. And they learned to celebrate each other, a quick clap, a thumbs up, for people that overwhelmed.
Big changes are just impossible.
Exactly. Fogg said for them, tiny habits was the only realistic path. It met them where they were. It shows how focusing on ease and positive reinforcement used well can be such a force for good, building people up.
So wrapping this deep dive up, what's the big takeaway from Fogg's tiny habits? For me, it boils down to this. Change is a skill you can learn. It's a design problem you can solve. You are not fundamentally flawed if you've struggled. Maybe your approach was flawed. This method gives you a practical toolkit.
Absolutely. It's a system for designing success into your life. And maybe the most profound idea woven through the book isn't just about checking off habits like flossing or push-ups. It's about the essential shifts in experience that these tiny wins create. It's moving, as Fogg says, from suffering to less suffering, from fear to hope, from being overwhelmed to feeling empowered. It's really about learning to leverage feeling good, feeling successful as the pathway to bigger, more meaningful transformations.
So maybe think about one tiny habit, something incredibly small that you could try today. Just one, anchor it to something you already do, and remember to celebrate when you do it, because as Fogg reminds us, the small changes, they really can change everything. And if you want to explore more, the book mentions resources available at tinyhabits.com/resources. Definitely worth checking out.